Have you ever wondered what the world would be like if we didn't have automobiles? Well, automobiles haven't always been around. Automobiles have an enormous impact on their everyday lives. We use them to go to work, to school, everywhere. I feel that I'm qualified to inform you about the history of the automobiles because not only have I done a lot of research on this topic, but I've worked on automobiles my whole life. The purpose of my speech is to inform the audience about the history of automobiles. Today I'm going to inform you about the contributors to the first automobiles, how the automobiles worked, and who owned them. First, I'm going to inform you about the contributors to the first automobiles. According to Ausbicomp.com, steam-powered cars were first developed by both French and British engineers in the late 1700s. A German engineer, Carl Benz, made the first gasoline-powered automobile in the late 1800s, which proved to be very successful. In the early 1900s, Henry Ford designed the first American-made gasoline automobiles, the models A and T. And these automobiles were assembled on a production line in just 93 minutes. Next, I will tell you about how the first automobiles were made. History.com states that the first steam vehicles worked by water being heated in a boiler. The steam then expanded and drove a piston which turned a crankshaft. The first electric cars were powered by small electric motors, which surprisingly were rechargeable. And these vehicles were very expensive and travel was slow because the batteries constantly had to be recharged. Gasoline cars contain a cylinder, and fuel is pushed into the cylinder and ignited, and it causes an explosion which pushes the piston and drives a crankshaft. Finally, I will talk about who drove the first automobiles. According to About.com, the first cars were purchased for a status symbol more than convenience. Only the wealthiest people could afford cars in the early years. After 1900, wealthy people began buying cars for pleasure rather than just for convenience. Even doctors began purchasing automobiles because they were more reliable than horses. When Henry Ford invented the Model T, it was much more common to see automobiles even parked in driveways in rural areas. In conclusion, I shared with you the history of automobiles. I have informed you about the contributors to the first automobiles, how the first automobiles were made, and who drove them. I felt qualified to speak on this topic because even though I already knew a lot about automobiles, I learned even more about them after extensive research. Now we can see how important automobiles are to us as humans and how hard it would be to live our lives without them. Learning about the history and evolution of the automobile helped me to better understand the effects that they have on society today.